This webinar will be around the EMnify data streamer and exactly how does this tool help you get full visibility on your IoT data. My name is Jean-Louis d'Ambroise. I've been working at EMnify for 1.5 years now as a customer success manager. Today, I'm happy to be joined by Brian Smith.
Hi, John.
Hi, Brian. Thanks for joining.
Yes.
Brian is a technical writer who will show exactly how to integrate the EMnify data streamer with the AWS S3, which is a storing service offered by Amazon Web Services. At the end of the webinar, we'll have time for a Q&A session, but if you have questions during the webinar, feel free to ask them. We're 2 people, so if I don't answer the questions directly, Brian might just type and answer them. Okay, so what's the data streamer and what its purpose? So one thing we noticed is that data does not mean knowledge. What do we mean by that? Well, one feature and one feedback we get a lot from our customers is the transparency that we offer on the EMnify user interface. Most of you are already customers, I believe, and you've noticed that whenever you use our solution, you have a huge amount of transparency thanks to the events we display on the EMnify user interface. We always show when the device came online, how much data it has used, in which country it was, with which provider, etc., etc. It's a very high amount of transparency, which we've tried to show into specific dashboards because we have 19 types of events. You must have seen them all, or not all maybe, but the most are update location, create PDP context, delete PDP context, and so on. And we also show specific data usage so that you can see exactly which SIM used how much data, when, and where. As I said, this is a lot of information which we've tried to gather into useful dashboards, which you can find under stats in the EMnify user interface. If we take a look at those dashboards, we can see the SIM database, for example, and this specific dashboard displays the number of SIM you have registered on your account, the number of SIMs you've activated and suspended. So basically how much you will pay and do you have enough SIM for the rest of the month. We also have created the live dashboard, which shows live the amount of data you've used since the beginning of the month, the amount of endpoints which are online, offline, and the last most important events that happened on your account. So this amount of data is very useful and customers love it, but we've also noticed that the more information we display, well, the more customers demand. So most days we have customers asking some specific questions regarding the customization of this data. One question that comes very often is that, can I store the data? Well, the data on the EMnify platform is not stored forever. Specific events are only stored for 24 hours and then deleted. So it's useful to debug what's happening now, but not necessarily for debugging what happened 1 month ago. Some customers would also like to share their dashboards with their customers or associates, but not the full dashboard, but only specific information. Or they want to use their own BI tool and send all this information all the time to Power BI, for example, without having to download the CSV files from the EMnify user interface, and so on and so forth. So in order to answer all those questions at once, we have created and released the EMnify data streamer. So basically, as the name says, the EMnify data streamer is a tool, which is, by the way, already integrated in the offer. So you already have it in your account, and you can use it to stream all those events and data to third-party tools. So let's take an example. I have a smart parking device, and with the EMnify SIM card, and this device is constantly creating events and using data with our solution. So as soon as you turn it on, it will connect to the internet and start creating events. You will see this popping up on the EMnify user interface, and you would very much like to use this data. What you can do with the data streamer is stream all those information to third-party tools, as I said, and we've already integrated specific solutions thanks to their API. So today we can already stream all those information to specific AWS services, such as Kinesis and S3. We also integrated the API of BI solutions like Datadog and Kine.io. But if you want, you can integrate the API of your own solution on premises or in the cloud and send the data to your solution. We have customers who integrated Power BI, for example, and they are analyzing everything in their Power BI. As I said, today Brian will show how to integrate the data streamer with the S3 from Amazon. At EMnify, we're also using this data streamer, and we integrated this in our CRM solution, which is Salesforce. And it gives me, as a customer success manager, very valuable information. So I know exactly when my customers start activating the SIMs, registering them, and etc. And especially, I know if one specific customer suspended half of their SIMs in one day. Then I can pick up the phone, call them, and understand what's going on. Because this information is valuable to me today, but if I call the customer 1 month later, when I see that the bill decreased, it might be too late. I also know exactly the amount of data specific customers use, and I can then call you and discuss with you specific data increase, talk about the data plan, and adjust it. So this is an example regarding what you can do with information in the EMnify user interface. So let's take a look at other use cases. So the first use case, which we will discuss today, is storing the data into a hosting service. So today we will use the S3, but you should know that you can do the same for any other storage services as long as they have an API. So what Brian will show today is quite easy. We will link the EMnify user interface to S3 thanks to the EMnify data streamer. And basically, the events will be sent to S3. When doing so, we will see that we have the possibility to choose which kind of data we want to send. We can send either events or data, meaning amount of megabytes used by a specific SIM. And when we choose events, we can also choose which specific events we want to stream. Do you want to stream all update locations, or do you only want to know when your devices went offline? Delete PTP context. Having all the data stored in S3 is great, but it's only storage. You would also sometimes need to act on specific events. So what you can do, Amazon being Amazon, they offer a lot of services. They have one service called Simple Notification Service, and you can link it to S3. And you can create some rules and say, if specific device stays offline for more than 4 hours, for example, I want to be notified. How does that work? S3 will trigger a notification to the SNS, and all subscribers to a specific topic will receive this information, and then we'll be able to act on it. We will show live this specific example in a second webinar, which will happen in 2 weeks, together with Brian as well. Another possible solution and use case, which we'll also discuss in a third webinar in 4 weeks, is the possibility to create nice dashboards the way you want. So Amazon also offers something called QuickSight, a BI tool, which will enable you to display the information the way you want and share this information with other stakeholders. QuickSight is only one tool you can use. You can connect S3 to other kind of BI tools if needed, but in our case, we will use QuickSight. You will also notice that at one point, when you reach a certain amount of SIM cards, let's say 10,000, the amount of events that you're triggering per minute and per day is quite big. And storing all this information in S3 can be a bit expensive at one point. Furthermore, BI tools do work with CSV files, because we will see that when we are storing information in S3, it is in the format of CSV. As other BI tools rather need JSON or Packet or other kind of files. And for those reasons, there are others, but for those two specific reasons, storage needs and formatting, we have integrated our event data streamer with a tool of Amazon called Kinesis, which will enable you first to transform the data. You will be able to format it and make it a JSON so that your BI tool will work better with it. But you will also have the possibility to zip the files and store them in S3 in a smaller format. Kinesis has lots of other possibilities. You can analyze data on the fly, react on the fly, etc. And we might create another webinar around Kinesis. It's a very powerful tool. And if we do so and you're interested, we'll organize that. But now I'm done with introducing the solution. So we'll take a look at the integration, which Brian will do. So basically, as I said, Brian will right now connect the EMnify user interface to S3. All right.